This is Breaker, and I am back with a new replay that I took from the front page of Cast It. Yeah, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. I had to alt tab real quick to make sure I had the right window open on my XSplit config. Sorry about that. Okay, and now we're fully good to go. Upper left-hand corner, spawning as our red Zerg, Alastor. Oh my. And this is actually a player that I really like to cast games of. His name is Cold Scars, and this isn't my first time doing it. He used to be a member of SDA. I'm not sure what happened then, but you know, very strong player. He went up against Idra shortly after he was released from EG on the ladder, and I think that was the first game of the day for Idra. He did give a good luck, have fun. I wasn't watching the stream when it happened, but I remember there was a screenshot of it somewhere on Imgur. But altogether, I'm looking forward to really casting this one. I had no clue that this was going to be Cold Scars. I had absolutely no clue that he actually browsed Reddit either. But going with some, what's the word I'm looking for? Fathomable logic, if you will. Cold Scars, he's a very strong player. That's very general. I would say Masters top 8 NA easily. I think maybe I saw him one time sporting the Grandmaster's border on his SC2 portrait. Assuming this is the same Cold Scars anyway. But overall, altogether, I'm really going to enjoy casting this one, so let's just sit back and enjoy the fun. Drone going out from Alastor, just being as safe as possible. Not going all the way to his opponent's main, but still a respectable move nonetheless. I like just to have that feeling of safety by sending my own drone all the way to my opponent's main and checking to see whether or not the double command center is going down or if it's a barracks first opener. Now we do see the double command center going down about 15 seconds ago in game. That means 220, I would imagine, is the, I guess, the bare minimum in terms of time when you would see it go down. If it was a single Rax Expo, then you would have seen the barracks go down at 1 minute 42 seconds in game. A little bit on the nerdy side with that little math, if you will. But altogether, given that Alastor has scouted a double command center opener, he's just going to go ahead and take comfort and pride in doing what appears to be something reminiscent of a 4-queen opener. Lots of players have figured that out now. I mean, basically you don't have to go Reaper opening every single game. But there is I want to say a reasonably early gas going down, but I'm just thinking to myself, there's no way in hell it could be for Reapers, because of course, by the time that 50 gas gets harvested, the barracks will be so far from done that, like, the Reaper is going to be infinitely more delayed. And not only that, I mean, the barracks has already gone down for far too long. So Reaper is pretty much out of the question, and we already see a Marine in production. And our drone is, well, it turned into an extractor, then it canceled itself, if you will. And with that, I think we have Alastor basically aiming to take a glimpse at his opponent's next move, which is figuring out what he's going to be doing with that gas. Is it going to be a factory, or is it going to be a reactor? Is it going to be a tech lab? Given the fact that there's no tech lab already and there's more than enough gas for it, there's been enough gas for it about 4 times over, if I did my math correctly. Yeah, for a tech lab 4 times over. Then, you know, he's basically, I think he's in doubt of that, but right now he's actually doing something that is meant to firmly delay Blue Flame Hellion rushes. Reactor is already going down. And I'm pretty sure this assimilator is going to get... no, never mind. Looks like Alastor has figured out the math behind that. And of course, every time he does cancel that, he's losing some minerals. If you guys will pay attention here. I think he basically canceled it maybe once or twice. And he really hasn't lost too much at this point. He's lost a single Ling, and then he just lost a second Ling. He did get in and see the Hellion, or not the Hellion, wow, the factory going down. And that basically means it's going to be a Hellion opener, basically meant to control the map. Very standard TVZ. In fact, I can't really think of any other way to open except for perhaps maybe getting a few Marines out early. Back in the beginning of the HOTS days, I remember I was running into this problem game after game after game. It's like, wait a minute, there's no Xel'Naga watchtower in the middle of the map. That's going to stop any number of bio units from coming to my natural without me seeing it. So basically you have to have very, very proactive Ling control in the early game. More than just sending out a Ling and, you know, making sure your opponent's not moving out. In fact, it really helps if you can keep them alive a little bit longer. But whoa, an armory going down by Cold Scars. I'm leaning towards saying that this is gonna, yeah, this is gonna lead to some kind of Hellbat drops, I think. But it's also entirely possible that he could be hoping to follow this up with, say, Banshee play. And a part of me leans towards saying that because he's going Hellbats, he's also going to go mech. I mean, after all, it is basically a worthwhile investment, I think, once you have the armory up and going. So here we are, the last 2 Hellions are out. What is next in production for Cold Scars? As he's trying to clear away creep tumors, he is shooed away by 3 queens, actually, and one of them was just injecting on the natural. Third hatch going down right now, a teeny bit delayed, but of course, the Overlord is still not quite seeing what it should be. Whoa, wait a minute. Okay, this is going to be some weird play. There's an armory already, but we see Stim going down. And more barracks. Okay, so I was entirely wrong about that assumption that I had before, but Alistor is cranking out the roaches. He may elect to throw down a Baneley nest very soon. This could lead to some kind of an all-in, but right now the roach numbers, well, he's got 9 in production. He's trying to keep them as held back as possible to actually keep Cold Scars from scouting it. And I'm not sure if he's actually seen that roach warren or not, but the one thing that is definitely going to keep Alistor at home for the next few seconds is the fact that he's got Hellbat drops going out. Yes, these Hellbats, they are going to essentially keep Alistor at home. He just saw the medevac, and he just selected his roaches, but he's not going back. Oh man, he doesn't know what's inside. I think he thinks that it's Widow Mines because almost nobody does Hellbat drops anymore, especially given after the buff that they've received. 1 drone goes down so far. Not too terribly severe, but this is, you know, I mean, as long as Cold Scars keeps his micro up, he's going to be able to really tax Alistor a teeny bit. And the Queen's actually misclicking and attacking an Overlord. They're going to focus down that medevac now, and we see Alistor poking down at the front door of Cold Scars, who already has a significant number of Marauders out. It's just that he doesn't have enough units to really tank for them just yet, but as I say that, we have the medevacs healing up those Marines on the ground, and he's good to go for the time being. So Alistor kind of suffered a little bit in the way of losses, but yeah, 6 drones, not game ending, but at the same time, he doesn't really have that ideal worker count. His opponent's income is soaring over his. If he was to drone up now, perhaps he would suffer minimal losses. He does have a rather large army supply right now. Okay, that's right. Hellbats. They are bio as well. Here we go. Alistor trying to A-move in here. There's only 3 Marauders. Oh, wait, there's more than that. We got some that are just now popping out of the barracks. And they do, of course, hit the stim pack, and the Hellbats tanking for those roaches is just doing so much damage to the main army of Alistor as he elects to back off right now. And I apologize if you guys hear any weird noise because there's actually an air conditioner blowing on my microphone right now. Yes, fine Korean accommodations at work in my dormitory right now. And there it is. Ahaha, XD. Nice hack. I guess this guy doesn't know who Cold Scars is, but yeah. I don't know, Alistor, jeez. I don't know what to say to that. Anywho, here we go. Another stim, the Marauders coming in. I honestly think that Banelings would help to some extent. Roaches combined with Banelings would be somewhat decent versus Marauders, provided that the spreads are far too... provided that the spreads are not all that. That's what I'm looking for. Great, and the Baneley nest is going down, yes, but it's so close to home right now, this entire army of Cold Scars that's pushing in. And the Marauder count is just a teeny bit high. The medevac's running a little bit low on energy, so that's going to work a little bit here in favor of Alistor, who's now having a bit of trouble holding this. Yes, the Marauder count is still somewhat high. The Queen's coming in, trying to take down those medevacs who are now pulling back. And it looks like for this time, Alistor does hold. He's got a rather significant army supply over his opponent, 70, but it's all hard countered mostly by what we see coming from Cold Scars. Hellbats, they're not the most effective tool. Actually, they can be reasonably effective versus roaches, but at the same time, they are going to be tanking for the Marauders, which have a range of about 6 or 5. I forget. Anyway, concussive shells is ready to go, and that's going to slow down the roaches on the retreat. And it looks like Alistor is just going to keep on pushing forward with this. He's on 3 base, though. That is also working in his favor, if you will. Oh, and look at this. He couldn't poke in through the front door, so he's going for the back. And it looks like he reconsiders. He's going back home. No drops to worry about, but a scan does go down for Cold Scars as he's moving out, just making sure his army can be in a safe position. Centrifugal hooks going down behind this. That means Baneling speed. Off creep, that will help, but of course Marauders will always be able to run away from them. Hellbats not so much, but if we could just see, say, a decent surround come from Alastor, he might be okay. The Overseer is just with the army to detect the Widow Mines, which are not in play, and a huge chunk of roaches just got chewed up by these hungry Marauders. Oh, but look at that. Isn't that nice? That's really clever. Really cheeky move by Alastor, just keeping a roach in the background, but of course those stemmed Marauders coming out now will easily be able to take care of that one roach who's now almost gotten hero status. I mean, one roach for how many workers was that? I think 4, 5, 8 altogether to this point. I actually initially thought that those 8 workers killed came from, say, Alastor's first poke into the natural. But now Banelings are finished, and it looks like we have centrifugal hooks just seconds away from completing. And if we can see Alastor get that surround, he will be in some okay position, but at the same time, Hellbats galore. The Widowmine burrowing, gonna connect with something here. Will it be the Banelings? Yes, a few of them, but not all that many. The Banelings having trouble to actually get into the front lines. That's the only problem with going Roach Baneling versus a Bio army, aside from the fact that there is a ton of Marauders. And if there's a defense here by Cold Scars, it will be absolutely clutch. Only a handful of Bio units, as we see his infrastructure being absolutely torn apart. And it looks as though, oh man, there's some units coming in here from the natural to try and clean this up. Only a handful of Marauders, but it looks like we could see Cold Scars in a position to hold this gradually. He does have a few units popping out, but of course the Roaches going in, getting an absolute massacre on the mineral line. Somebody call the police. We see Alastor going on a killing spree. And Cold Scars is in a pretty not so good position. SCV is being pulled, the surround being accomplished. Alastor has done a significant deal of damage to all of this, and he's sending a Ling run by at the third. That's going to make things even worse for Cold Scars. But the planetary, excuse me, the orbital command in the main just got torn apart, and I'm not sure if this is going to help Alastor out. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any coming back from this or not for Alastor or Cold Scars at this stage in the game. Natural's overdroned, but of course the main is going dry now for Alastor. But I mean, if you measure it correctly, I guess you could say that. Well, I guess you couldn't say that this is really even economy. 50 workers killed to this point, 15 left, 15 remaining for Cold Scars. Or we see Alastor with, let's see here, a very decent floating 54. But look at this. There's a nice drop going down for Cold Scars over here at the 4th base. And there's going to be another one going down at the 3rd, which I'm sure is going to roast some workers. But Blue Flame, there's no Blue Flame, and that's not going to help Alastor out all that. Or excuse me, that's not going to help our Terran out all that much. Oh no, he's going straight into the natural, and there's almost nothing here. There are queens to defend, yes, but they do so very little damage, and the drones are just being completely ignored as we see Alastor pushing into his opponent's main now, doing just colossal amounts of damage. And I don't know if Cold Scars is going to be able to hold this or not. I mean, overall, if you base race the Terran, typically 9 times out of 10, you'll see that the Terran wins. But, oh, man, that drop going straight into the main. The natural is absolutely decimated here for Alastor. Could we see Cold Scars in a position to hold this and turn the game around completely? He's got a sizable number of Marines and Marauders in the main. And sure, while the Marines will do nothing versus the Roaches, the Marauders will work miracles in this case. Oh, but the third is still lifted up and moving around. Cold Scars getting an absolute murder on the main. Just look at this. He's bringing himself back into the game. That's just absolutely crazy. Baneling's actually morphing on top of those Hellbats. Not quite able to get into that medevac, but wow. Overall, excellent cleanup and defense here by Cold Scars. I could not. And he reacted appropriately. I mean, most of his remaining army supply at the end of that roach push into his main, into his opponent's main, was actually just, it was army supply. It wasn't workers. And even to this point, we actually still see Alistar with a superior number of workers. The main, the natural, completely dry for Alistar. So his only hope now is to actually directly push back his opponent. This is the only way he can win right now. We're taking things into the low econ situation, but of course it's much, much lower for our Terran than it is for our Zerg. And this is going to depend on, you know, an absolute miracle. But, oh, the one thing that was tugging at the head of Cold Scars and getting his opponent's attention has almost been shut down. There's 3 Marines still left in this drop, but they're going to gradually fall. Beautiful micro there by Cold Scars. He's been playing on the Korean server a lot, as you can tell. That's, you know, that's actually the only way you can really hold up against something like that. Just tons and tons of drops. I apologize as I am getting messages on Facebook. Let's see here. Alright, so... Alright. There we go. Ooh. Widowmine's out in the middle of the map. Only getting 1 or 2 roaches. Not all that many. But now there's so much bio here that I don't know if it's going to matter or not. We got the income back online for Cold Scars, and Alistar is in a heap of trouble. The Widowmines have been shut down. There's only a couple of Banelings left here for Alistar. And they're morphing on creep, but that's too close to this entire bioforce. This is just... I don't know. This is just bad decision-making coming from Alistar. The Baneling's about to finish up. I think some of them are going to connect with this bio, but there's a scan going down on top of the creep to see if there's anything else out there. The Banelings come in just a teeny bit too late, and... Wait a minute. Hold on, just a minute. Wait. Let's check the income real quick. I think... Oh, my God. Alistar... I think was winning this game and he didn't know, and it's I can't blame him for doing this. Well, no, never mind. Okay, his opponent had so much army supply, and there was just a small chunk of bio back at home that was doing all of this. As you can see, I mean, it was making up the army supply, if that makes sense. Well, actually, a good deal of it is medevacs as well. Harmless as they may be to anything on the ground, they still heal the Marines and Marauders and keep up the steam. Banked all together, I mean, Alistar still had a significant amount, but he had only just rebuilt his spawning pool. His Roach Warden was never destroyed. And it's debatable whether or not he was still alive in the game. It really is. I mean, he's on 2 base production. His opponent's on 2 base production. You never want to be in that position as a Zerg player. But at any rate, this has been Breaker. I'll see you guys next time.